Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Violet Rain.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Violet Rain. My guest today is Lorina. Did I pronounce that even close?
Lorina.
Lorina. Lorina is dedicated to supporting high-achieving women in the areas of personal development, mindset mastery, lifestyle design, manifestation, and overall holistic well-being to guide them to step into their limitless potential while experiencing more fulfillment and abundance in all areas of their lives. She truly believes that you can have it all. So her mission is to empower women to connect with their purpose, to step into their worth and show women what is truly possible so they can live the life on their terms and manifest their biggest desires. She's also the host of Unleash Your Radiance podcast. So we're excited to have her on the show today. So welcome.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I'm so excited to be here.
So share with us a little bit, what took you down the road to what you do today? Because I think all of us are guided to the work that we do. And so just share with us, for those listening that might be getting guidance, how are you guided down this path?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I think when we kind of step into this work, we're all kind of guided along that, it's really about that turning your pain into purpose style journey. And I feel like I was guided towards stepping into this being my purpose quite a few number of years ago. So it really started with through my childhood. My parents divorced quite young, and then my mom was with another partner later on they were together for quite a while, and he was a narcissist. And so I grew up with a narcissist in my life for over 26 years, which really, really played a huge toll on, my self-worth, how I viewed myself. And through that, I really struggled with, like I said, the way I viewed myself, self-belief, and I developed an eating disorder around my early 20s. And yeah, through that, I was able to recover from that. And through that journey, I was really struggling in a lot of ways, but through taking myself through that journey, I just felt so empowered to guide women to really see their potential, to build confidence, for self-love, because I really gained so much of that through my own journey on that healing. I was very much into fitness, into well-being, and started to heal myself holistically in that way. And I was really inspired to start helping women. So I had gone down the road of trying to be a personal trainer. I wanted to get certified as a coach, and I wasn't ready at the time, though. I still had a lot of inner work to do, and I went back down the corporate route because I got offered a job in a certain area. So I sort of fell away from my purpose for about, I would say, 12 years. And it wasn't until August, about 2 years ago, actually, I was still in the entrepreneurship field, sort of dabbling in, retreat planning and in the spiritual realm. So I was still aligning in that area, following those breadcrumbs. But it was in, August 2022. I was at the gym. I was working out, still very much into the health and wellness and bring that into my lifestyle. And this download came through. My intuition was so strong. And it was like, you love this. Like, you've always been so passionate about this. You need to go get certified as a coach. Like, this is what you need to be doing. And it was so strong. I was like, oh my God, yes. What am I doing? So I stopped my workout. I didn't even finish my workout. I literally went home, started Googling wellness coaching in my area, signed up the next day. And from there, I got certified as a wellness coach holistically. And I further got certified in manifestation coaching. And I'm doing another certification at the moment to get further certified in NLP and, hypnosis, to really take that mindset to the next level as well. So, although I kind of diverted from that initial calling, 12 years ago, it's all kind of led up to this moment, because I was doing virtual assistant work for a while. I was working in the events industry, doing retreat planning for other people. And I've been able to take all of those skills and now bring them into my own coaching business where I do host workshops and women's circles and retreats. And, I really help women now in the areas of healing holistically and stepping into their purpose. So that's been my journey, is really aligning with your purpose and trusting that inner calling, connecting with your intuition and manifesting a life of more purpose, fulfillment, and joy, because that was something I really struggled with for so long. So, I always think our greatest fears and struggles are our greatest achievements later on, right? It's what's on the other side of that is really where we're meant to be. So I'm so glad I followed that journey to get to where I am today. And that's a little kind of how I ended up here now.
No, I love that, because when you're able to step back and really look
Hmm.
at your path, your journey, each little step gives you another skill set, another tool, another piece
Yeah.
of the big puzzle that brings you to exactly where you want. Because I kind of have a similar story with opening a spiritual center. If you had asked me 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 20 years ago, would I have a spiritual center? I would have said, no, I'm not going to do that. And then when I stepped into it and actually decided to do it, my big question to spirit was, why me? Why am I here?
Mm,
Why am I doing this? And they were showing me all the nuggets, all the jobs I'd had, all the responsibilities I had, all the skills, all the pieces that I had picked up to allow me to have the full puzzle to be successful in what I do. And you don't see that as you're going down the journey. I'm sure as you
yeah.
were doing retreats, you aren't like, oh, this is going to be a skill that I'm going to use later on in my own business. You don't even connect those dots until one day you just look back and went, wow, I have been guided, right?
So
Along the way.
true, so true. I honestly did not even see myself hosting retreats when I had my retreat, because I started doing virtual assistant and then it led to virtual retreats because it was COVID. So, or sorry, virtual events because it was COVID. So no one could do in person. So I was doing virtual. And then it started with like, I was working with a few coaches that turned into spiritual coaches that led to retreats. And I was very much still into manifestation and personal development throughout that time. But I was so used to being behind the scenes. Like I come from a corporate background of events planning. So I was like, I'm the planner, I am not the host. But then I had these dreams of being on stage and speaking and leading retreats with a lot of people. And I was like, what is this? This does not make any sense. And then, later on, here I am like hosting my own events and retreats. And, it's a bit of a full circle moment. But I'm sure you experience this as well. And, this is something I always emphasize. It's like the journey to stepping into our purpose is not always like a linear approach, right? It is these different ways of, okay, we're connecting the dots, we're following the breadcrumbs, but it comes with resistance as well. Just as you were saying, like when you're asking spirit, like, why me? Like, why am I doing this? It's scary, like stepping into this next level expansion of ourselves. Like, it really is that hero's journey of like, okay, this is like, oh my God, I have to be seen in this different way. I'm leading these people or I'm hosting these events. Like there's a lot that comes to the surface with limiting beliefs and resistance and imposter syndrome and doubt that we really need to navigate and move through in order to fully align with our purpose in that context.
And that's really true for anyone listening
Yeah.
that some of this is resonating with you, where spirit's been nudging you in a direction and you're like, I'm not the host. I'm not supposed to be on stage. I'm not supposed to be the front person. And you keep seeing this. It's them encouraging you to move through the fear, because fear blocks us. Fear stops us from really stepping in. And the truth is, if you can move through your fear, your doubts, and get to the other side, there's real gifts on the other side that are waiting for you to reach for. Because once you get through that, and that imposter syndrome sometimes can be difficult, like, why me? Why am I doing this? Why do I get the opportunity to do this? Are people really going to listen to me? Do I really have something to share with others? Yes, 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 you do. If this is your passion and this is what you get excited about, step through that block of fear to get to the other side. Now, you might need a coach, right? You might need a mentor. You might need to take a class. You might need to invest in something, but go out and find those nuggets, just like you did of, hey, how can I be a wellness coach? Let's go find what's available. Because I guarantee you, if spirit's nudging you, they have the resources that they're going to help you find exactly the person or the place that you need to be to get where you want to be. And so one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden you're doing retreats and you're leading them. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And it's so true. It's not about having the whole puzzle figured out, right? I think some of us are of like, we resist stepping into what we're being called to do because we're like, but I don't know what that looks like. Like, what do you mean I need to quit my job or move to the other side of the world or end this relationship? This is scary. Like what that, it's like leaving a safe and especially for people who are working maybe in a corporate job that like isn't lighting them up, but it feels safe. There's the security of the paycheck and whatnot. But it can be scary to take that leap and start a new career path or start a business. But really, it's like trusting that, if you're listening to your intuition and like that guidance, that it's going to unfold, right? The right people will come at the right timing, and you are going to be supported along that journey if you can really lean in and trust.
I love that. Well, you talk about manifestation. So, what are some tools
Yeah.
that you can share with the listeners today, or some perspective about being able to manifest what you want or what you desire in your life? I don't like the word want, because when we say I want, then spirit leaves you just wanting for that. So we have to shift our
Yeah.
words a little bit, right? But how do we manifest our desires?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I always emphasize is really, really firstly, getting clear on what that is, right? So again, that's going to be in alignment with following your sense of purpose or what lights you up or your joy, right? If you're not sure 100% on what that is you want, focus on what you don't want first or don't desire, but don't stay stuck there, right? Because then we'll just be in this energy of like, I don't want this, I don't want this. But it's a good indication of like, okay, I know I don't want that. So what's like the opposite? Follow what feels good. Um, we have specific manifestors where that's really getting specific on what that is, but we also have non-specific manifestors. If anyone's into human design, they'll know what that means. I highly recommend visiting human design and checking your profile out, doing a bit of research on that. It's really, really great to help you discover more about yourself. But getting clear on what it is you want first. And then it's going to be, okay, well, now I know what it is I want. Next comes the resistance, right? Because when we're looking to create something that's greater than what our reality already is, we're going to be faced with the limiting beliefs and the who am I to do this? And oh my God, am I worthy and deserving of that? Which is key. We manifest from what we feel worthy and deserving, what we believe is available for us and possible. So if there's any limiting beliefs or anything in that are coming in, we need to start clearing that. So subconscious reprogramming is going to be powerful. Reframing those beliefs, questioning them, bringing awareness. Okay, where do these beliefs come from? Are they mine? So often we've been programmed, right? Like almost all of the time from society, our family, our generation. So it's really questioning those beliefs. Where do they come from? Whose are they? What do I want to believe, right? What beliefs are going to support me? And doing that inner work to really start aligning your beliefs and thoughts from that place. And the identity work is going to be so important because when we can align our self-concept and our identity, then our behaviors start to align with that as well. And that's going to be much easier to take action because if you haven't done the inner work to align your mindset to get to that place, build that confidence and self-belief, then it's going to be really, really difficult to take the action, right, towards those steps and that's where that resistance is going to come in, that our ego is going to be like, nope, that's not safe. So, getting out of your comfort zone is going to feel really difficult. But when we can align our thoughts and beliefs and become that version, that being, right, really this feminine energy of being first, then we can take the aligned, which is the masculine energetics of doing, right? Because law of attraction requires law of action. I think there's this misconception that, oh, I just need to like manifest and think positive thoughts and visualize and everything will happen. Not saying you still can't manifest certain things that way, but it does require doing things that are outside of what we normally do, right? If you want different results, you have to take different actions. So really, really taking those steps and then trust, faith, belief. This is a surrender. This is where most people I find really, really trip up because it's like, okay, I've done the mindset work, I'm taking the action. Why is it not happening? Where are the results, right? We want that tangible, like appear now. But we have to trust in divine timing, surrendering to the process. Maybe there's lessons we need to learn along the way. There's the duality in life as well. And trusting that any challenges or things we go through, it's serving us for our highest good, or it's this or something better. So really trusting in that surrender is and having that faith is really blind faith, right? As Wayne Dyer says, you know, you have to believe it before you can see it. And that's one of my favorite affirmation quotes to go by. It always helps me when I tend to, you know, kind of waver a little bit. We're human. And then, yeah, just really, really having that faith and trusting that things are going to happen, leaning into gratitude, abundance, you know, in order to call in more of what we desire, we really need to be thankful and feel grateful for what we already have, no matter where we're at, right? Wherever you're at financially, like look at what that finances that you do have, that abundance is allowing you to do, right? Like just even us being on this podcast right now, I have a microphone, we've got internet connection, right? You're in the US, I'm in the UK, like that is abundant, right? So it's leaning into all of those moments and just feeling gratitude for the day to day and really leaning into who is it I need to become first in order to create that reality? Who's that version of me and what are they available for? What are they not available for? What do they tolerate? What do they not tolerate, right? And starting to set boundaries and standards for yourself. If you want a better quality of life and to manifest desires, really starting to raise those standards for yourself and letting go of what's no longer in alignment is going to be really, really, really helpful in that case as well.
Those were all great. Lots of lots of
Yeah.
really great information. And I want to share a little bit. Getting clear is so important. So I had a friend of mine
Yeah.
once that called me and said, the divine is not funny. They think they're funny, but they're not funny. And I said, what's the matter? And she goes, I've been saying to myself for a couple of days, I just really need a day off. I just really need a day off. I just really need a day off. She goes, today I spent the day in the emergency room because I tripped down the stairs and sprained my ankle. This is not the day off that I wanted. Getting really clear in what you're asking for. I want a day off to sit at the beach. I want a day off to not do anything. Being very clear in intentions, number one, is super important. Number two, you have to mentally say it and emotionally believe it. So we talk
Yeah.
about affirmations. I am beautiful. And so I'm going to go stand in front of the mirror, like Louise Hay always told us, and say, I am beautiful. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. But if your heart doesn't feel it, it doesn't align for you to be able to create it, because you have to have both the mental thought of clarity, but also the emotional excitement, happiness, passion that you have to be able to bring that in and to be really clear. And that's where our beliefs stick us up, because then there's something deep inside of us that says, I can't make that. I can't do that. I'm not worthy of that. I'm not able. And until you clear that in your heart space, you're not going to be able to clear that. And setting intentions. I love people that say, I want to bring love into my life. Okay, what are you doing to do that? Well,
Yeah.
I'm setting the intention. Well, they're not going to show up at your front door. Hello, Violet. I am here because you asked for love in your life. You have to have an action. You have to do something in order for that to come in, right? And you have to truly believe. So if you're not out meeting people, if you're not connecting to groups, if you're not giving yourself an opportunity to meet new people, you can have that affirmation all day long, but without an action, as you've said, without doing something to move that forward, it's not going to happen for you, because you've got to have a part in this as well. You know, we we don't totally always understand how what we're thinking, what we're saying has such a powerful impact. So if you're
Hmm.
working on something to manifest something, but in your mind is going, I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to be able to do that. You're not, because the universe hears this as well as what you're doing this. And so
Yeah.
alignment is huge, right? You got to be in alignment to what you believe, what you're saying, to bring that in. You know, we all watched the movie The Secret, and right, it was really easy. You just have to declare what you want. But there's other pieces to that to really
Yeah.
be able to manifest and bring it in. There's your work as well as your inner work to make that happen. If I tell everyone on this podcast, there are enough resources for every person on this planet to be a millionaire if they really wanted to have that.
Hmm.
And that is truth. If we really believe that everyone on this planet could be millionaires and they could have whatever they want, they can create it. But we create limitations within our own mind of what we can have, what we're worth. And we also have to work through those fears. What would happen if I was a millionaire? How would people treat me differently? What would my life be?
Oh
You
yeah.
got to work through all that, right? To be able to do that, because there's stuff down deep inside of you that says, oh my gosh, if I won the lotto or I became a millionaire, people would treat me differently. I would be looked at differently. Till you get rid of all that, right? You can't manifest and bring that in. So it does take inner work and an understanding of how money flow, manifestation, and prosperity works. So you can definitely create your desires if you really want them and you strongly desire them. You can bring magic in. You know, when I was a young woman, my daughter was an adult, and I remember sitting in my office one day, and I tell this story a lot. I was in human resources. I was a manager. I made about 50,000 a year. And in that office that day, I said, you know what? I want to be a vice president of HR and I'm going to make six figures. And my daughter looked at me and said, what? I said, I want to be a VP of HR and I want to make six figures and I'm going to bring that in. And she goes, well, what do you make now? And I said, oh, 55. She goes, you're going to double your income. And I said, yeah, I'm declaring it. I'm going to have that. That's what I'm going to do. But I also took action to apply to those jobs to figure out what I needed to do that. Within 18 months, I made six figures
Amazing.
and I was a
That's
VP of
incredible.
HR, right? So everybody can do that. You just got to believe it without any doubt. I'm going to have that. It's going to be mine. I'm going after it. That's what I want. And I took action. And those are the key things of being really clear, aligning everything in your body, removing any doubts, beliefs, and knowing that you can do it. You can manifest whatever you want, which leads us to the right mindset. So, how do we have the right mindset to create what we want in our lives?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The mindset, there's so much to it. There's so many nuances to the mindset, isn't there? Well, it's really around the subconscious, right? Because literally we're manifesting from our subconscious beliefs, which is controlling like 95% of our belief system, right? And how we're showing up. And this is happening on autopilot. So we're not even aware of this. And the subconscious mind is very much formed between the ages of 0 to 7. Give and take that. And most people say it's between 85 to 95%, depending on, where the studies are getting them from. And we really want to be aware of our thoughts. And this is where that awareness comes from, and starting to question those beliefs and really looking in and doing that inner work. And, we can do this. It will depend person to person how deep some of these thoughts are ingrained. It could, for some people, it could just be taking action to really instill a new belief, because that taking action is showing the subconscious mind, okay, I'm doing it. This is possible for me, right? So for some people, it's just seeing it. So it could be expanders, like putting yourself in spaces where, like, for instance, I know when I first got into coaching and I joined a mastermind, and there was a woman in there, and she was saying how she charges 100,000 a year to coach with her. And I was just like, what? That wasn't even something that I was thinking. So it's like that was just, oh, that opened my mind to a new perspective. And I was like, oh, that's possible. Okay, that's possible for me too. So that's another switch. It's looking for expanders. And then I love EFT, emotional freedom technique, tapping is incredibly powerful for really helping to rewire the mindset, to work with the body as well, somatic practices, right? Because if our even if we start to shift our beliefs, if, like, as you were saying, you needing to bring the heart into that, if you're still feeling that unsafeness in the body, there's going to be resistance there, right? If it feels unsafe to receive more money or whatever you're calling in, we're still going to be blocking it. So EFT really starts to shift any uncomfortable emotions. You're using positive affirmations, you're acknowledging how you feel. So we're not spiritual bypassing or anything that as well. And it's a really powerful technique. Also, hypnosis is incredible, affirmations, NLP. I love NLP, neuro linguistic programming, to really, really help with that deeper subconscious reprogramming as well. So And there's so many, like there's time techniques, single belief change. There's really powerful things you can do with NLP, which is something I really work with my clients one-to-one to get to that deeper level. But yeah, I mean, you can do some journaling around that self-reflection, taking action. There's so many different ways that you can start to shift beliefs. I always love choosing again as well, just being so aware of your thoughts, like spending, like a good week or two and just being like a scientist or an investigator and be like, what thoughts are coming up? Oh, okay. Where's that coming from? What do I believe about this? Why do I believe that? And like really writing it down. How are you talking to yourself? What's the language that's going on internally? And then starting to shift that, right? It's not an overnight process. It does take time. And it's really about the consistency with it, the repetition to build up that new neural pathway, right? Similar to like going to the gym, it's neuroplasticity where we don't just go once and have a six pack or like these, amazing biceps. It's that consistency and that work over time. And when I really notice a difference, and I know my clients have as well, it's when all of a sudden like you don't get triggered by something. It's these subtle changes, like something that maybe used to tick you off. You're like, I'm good. When you can stay grounded and centered, and maybe it's like you're starting to show up differently. You'll start noticing people opportunities starting to come in, or you're showing up differently. And in times of challenge, right, it's so great when everything's flowing and you're in alignment and you're like, life is good, I'm manifesting. How do you show up when a challenge arises, when something doesn't go as planned, right? That's really where you see the inner work, how it's showing up from this place of what's here for me, opportunity, right? A growth mindset. Like really we can either be in like expansion or contraction. So how can we stay in that energy of abundance even when we're faced with challenges? And that is a skill. That is a skill on its own, is really leaning into that.
I love that. And she's right. 0 to 7 is where most of our subconscious think about what you were afraid of in that age, what you were skeptical of, who was influencing you
Mm.
during those ages. Because that uncle that sat down on the couch beside you and whispered something in your ear or said something to you, you thought they were the grandest person ever. And whatever they said to you, you believe in your belief system. So it could have been a young girl that said, men, don't ever trust men. And you take that in and you forget
Yeah.
it. Or the young man, you've got to don't ever cry because you can't show. All that goes into your subconscious. And what people don't understand is your subconscious is not filtering. It is not saying, well, she doesn't really want that. She doesn't really believe that. It's taking it at truth. So, whatever's playing in your head, that is the direction, that's the commands that are being given to bring that in your life. So, being present and just taking those moments of mindfulness during the day and sitting quietly and thinking and just spending time with what's going on in my subconscious. Or the other thing that I love is, have you ever been out with a friend for lunch or dinner and you said something and you're like, where did that come from? Like, I don't
Mm.
think that way. I don't believe that way. Where did that come from? Or you're telling this story of your life and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm creating this, right? I'm creating this. I need to be paying attention to what I'm thinking and saying and putting out in the world, because we create that, especially when it has a lot of emotional energy behind it. So, yeah, mindset is so important. I tell people, your subconscious, you're on autopilot. The greatest example of autopilot was, when is the last time you drove home from somewhere and you got home and you couldn't remember the last 5 miles? You couldn't remember
Yeah.
driving. You couldn't remember. It's because your subconscious knows where to go and it's doing all of that. So think about what else it's doing and making decisions about without you being present and really doing that. So a lot of that is so important. So mindset, manifestation, thinking about your self-worth and where that comes from. Share with us a little bit for people that might want to connect with you and do sessions with you. We talked about so many things today. We
We
covered
did.
we covered a ton in a very short period of time, believe it or not. But if people wanted to connect with you, what are some of the things that you offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can connect with me on Instagram at lorina.christine. That's where I kind of spend most of my time. Or also I'm on my podcast is Unleash Your Radiance as well. That's on Spotify or Apple as well. And yeah, I work with clients mainly who are looking to connect with their soul purpose. They know they're meant for more and they're really looking to start bringing their life into alignment, and maybe they're feeling a little bit of, not sure what steps to take on that area. So we really work for that to help them create a life they desire, move through those mindset beliefs, EFT tapping, and really connecting with their limitless potential. It's really where I support clients in that area.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. What you don't know if you're listening is the first time we connected, she was having storms. Our internet would not work. So we were trying to get this to reschedule, and we were both very determined to get back online. And so I'm so glad that we were able to connect today and make this happen. So thank you so much for joining us.
Me too. This has been such a beautiful conversation. I've absolutely loved it. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. And those listening, thank you for watching. Make sure you comment, like, and follow us on your favorite channels. And I wish you a sacred and magical week, and I hope we'll see you back here real soon.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Violet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Violet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.